their presence in town, they filled the streets with military-style vehicles.
Well, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and top ICE enforcement officials in Chicago today overseeing more immigration arrests.
WGN Jenna Barnes joins us live with the latest. And how are people reacting over the increase of enforcement and arrests, Jenna?
Chicago, dawn. Helicopters hum over quiet neighborhoods. Doors slam. Searchlights sweep across rooftops, and unmarked vehicles idle at street corners. This isn't a drill. It's the latest phase of Operation Midway Blitz, an immigration enforcement push that Homeland Security officials say targets the most serious offenders in the region. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem walks alongside ICE officers in tactical vests. Her social media posts announce a simple message: the department is not backing down. Arrest videos from Elgin and Chatham flood the internet as residents wake to the sound of helicopters and confusion. Some see the operation as a necessary crackdown. Others call it a spectacle designed for headlines.
It was a military helicopter, and I woke him up and I said, something's going on. I seen a second helicopter kind of duck off to the side, so they were working in tandem.
In one raid, Aldo Salazar is taken into custody. Convicted of murder in 2005, released from prison only days ago, he's now back under federal detention. ICE points to cases like his as proof that the operation removes violent offenders from the streets. But the scene on the ground paints a more complicated picture.
Monday in Elgin, ICE arrested Aldo Salazar Baena. He was convicted of murder in 2005 and just released from Stateville Correctional Center days ago.
At a Home Depot parking lot on West 87th Street, day laborers scatter as ICE vehicles converge. Witnesses describe a heart-wrenching sight: workers running, some injured, a helicopter circling overhead with a searchlight. "Go after the gangbangers, go after the killers," one bystander pleads. "These guys are just trying to work." This mix of hardened cases and ordinary workers fuels the controversy. Illinois law prohibits prison officials from honoring ICE detainer requests, meaning federal agents must pick up released inmates themselves. But the same operation that targets convicted criminals also sweeps up people who are simply present without status, and sometimes even U.S. citizens. By mid-morning, immigrant rights advocates gather at Daley Plaza on Mexican Independence Day. They urge undocumented residents to stay home, allies to support immigrant-owned businesses, and communities to stand together during the heightened enforcement. The people they're targeting are our mothers, our brothers, our neighbors, one organizer says. Everyday working-class people whose only fault has been to believe in the American dream.
It's a real problem, I think, for the city of Chicago, for the state of Illinois, and it is the fault of the Trump administration and of ICE that they are unwilling to simply communicate with us about what they're up to.
On the South Side, State Senator Karina Villa accuses federal agents of agitating neighborhoods. Other lawmakers describe families calling frantically to locate relatives. In Elgin, 5 people are arrested at a single home before dawn. 2 of them are later released, both U.S. citizens who produced their identification at the scene. ICE insists that Midway Blitz is a targeted operation.
Was that necessary for this kind of standard little neighborhood?
They say the focus is on individuals with criminal charges or convictions, but acknowledge that anyone found to be in the country without legal status during an enforcement action can be detained. That dual approach blurs the line between focused arrests and sweeping raids. Residents describe a show of force rarely seen in a domestic operation. Helicopters in tandem, drones overhead, agents pouring out of SUVs. Community groups like Casa DuPage mobilize at 4 in the morning to patrol neighborhoods and document what happens. Our people are afraid just to go to school, one volunteer says.
I see the door broken and I hear them screaming in Spanish, telling them to get out, that otherwise they're going to come in with deadly force, things like that. And then I see them come out one by one.
Secretary Noem's posts list arrests for assault, DUI, and felony stalking, but local reporters note the department has not released full details on who remains in custody or whether those charges have led to convictions. The lack of transparency adds to the tension. At the same time, ICE praises its coordination with other federal agencies. While local police are not involved, deputized officers from across the government support the raids. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino, known for large operations in Los Angeles.
Perhaps I'm living rent-free in the governor's head there, but when I look at Chicago, Governor Pritzker probably needs to maybe take a walk in his city. And I'm not talking about taking a walk down the Magnificent Mile. I'm not sure how much walking he's doing, but perhaps the governor would do better to talk to those inner city residents in his own city to see what they think about illegal immigration.
Now oversees a second immigration sweep in Illinois. Officials hint this could expand to work sites, car washes, and big box stores, although ICE maintains Midway Blitz itself is targeted. Outside Trump Tower, dozens of high school students stage a walkout and rally. They say they're standing up for friends and family frightened by immigration enforcement. Their signs demand an end to raids and call for legal protections. "This is our city," one student shouts. "We have the right to feel safe."
Now hearing that 5 people were originally arrested at this home here in Elgin and that 2 of them have since been released because they are U.S. citizens. And speaking with that gentleman, he told me it was an incredibly scary morning to be arrested by the Immigration and Custom Enforcement action here on this block in Elgin. He said they were asked if they were U.S. citizens at one point, and he and his colleague, because they were on their way to work, were able to produce their licenses and be released.
Journalists embedded with ICE describe a more methodical picture. Early morning briefings, teams assigned to specific individuals, legal warrants in hand. But even these insiders admit that when an operation hits a neighborhood, there's no way to prevent collateral detentions. Anyone undocumented, even if not the target, can end up in custody. The Trump administration frames this as restoring order, prioritizing public safety by removing individuals with criminal records. Supporters see it as long overdue enforcement after years of what they call lax immigration control. Critics see families torn apart and communities living in fear, warning that such tactics push people further into the shadows. Back in Elgin, the man who was mistakenly detained describes the fear. "They broke the door, screaming in Spanish, telling us to get out. Then one by one, they took us outside." His U.S. license eventually got him released, but 3 of his co-workers remain in custody with no public information on their cases.
It's a bad thing, you know, like taking people in like that, you know. They ain't no criminals or nothing.
And have you been seeing these raids picking up in your neighborhood or what?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, like at Home Depot and all that stuff over there, Costco.
She can go to hell. Don't come to my community. Go to hell.
So we have a lot of targets in the area, and we want to make sure that we can arrest as many of those as possible to get them out of the community and keep them from being a danger to the community.
Operation Midway Blitz now enters its 3rd week. ICE says it will continue for as long as necessary. Advocates warn the raids will spread to more suburbs. Local officials scramble to reassure residents. And in neighborhoods like Chatham, Little Village, and Elgin, helicopters overhead have become a morning alarm clock. Behind every arrest is a story, sometimes a criminal history, sometimes a family, sometimes a mistake. For ICE officers, it's a mission they see as law enforcement. For residents, it's a sudden reminder of their vulnerability. For the nation, it's a test of where immigration enforcement meets civil rights. As this operation continues, one fact remains clear. Immigration enforcement does not happen in a vacuum. It affects workplaces, schools, and communities. It reaches deep into neighborhoods and forces difficult questions about safety, fairness, and the future of immigration policy in America. And while federal officials tout their statistics, hundreds arrested, violent offenders removed, the images from Chicago tell a fuller story. Families in tears on sidewalks, day laborers sprinting from helicopters, students marching in protest. It's a story about power and policy, but also about people. The ones being taken, the ones left behind, and the ones trying to help. As Operation Midway Blitz unfolds, Chicago becomes a stage for a national debate. Enforcement or overreach? Security or fear? The answer may shape not only the future of immigration policy, but the lived reality of millions who call this city and this country home.